It's sometimes easy to feel like journaling is really hard to stick with and overwhelming, but actually all you need is just 1 minute per day to start transforming your life. Journaling is such a powerful mental and spiritual tool to transform your life by helping you to heal, helping you to grow, helping you to make progress, helping you to achieve your dream life. One question I get asked a lot is how to journal. I don't even know where to begin with journaling, or I can't stay consistent with journaling. All you need to start changing your life are a few simple, evidence-based, tried and tested techniques. So in this video, we're going to be answering all of those questions, starting with why you should journal and how journaling can actually genuinely change your life. This is not just some kind of clickbait, intriguing title. This genuinely will change your life if you put it into practice. Secondly, we'll go over key journaling methods, which are evidence-based, tried and tested, super powerful journaling methods that I've used personally over the years as well. And thirdly, we'll go over how to stay consistent and build it into your routine to actually take action on wanting to journal and make this a reality for you. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. If you're new here, my name's Izzy. I'm a Cambridge graduate and a doctor, and I've personally been journaling for over 8 years now and gone through literally dozens of journals. I've created a journaling template with a bunch of structures and prompts down below, totally free for you to use as a companion for this video. So why should we journal and how is this actually going to be life-changing? There are 3 reasons to journal. The first reason is to record your memories as a kind of snapshot, to see the progress and see how far you've come. When I look back at some of my old journals, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that at that time I was so worried about something that was happening, or I felt so strongly about it. But then looking back, actually that was such a blessing, and that gives you this magical zoom out button on seeing things in perspective. Secondly, it affects your affect. So whether you have a more positive or negative approach to the world. Basically, all of us struggle with negative emotions at times. Things like fear, things like anxiety, feeling like you're worrying about the future, fear of failure, fear of judgment, worrying that you're not good enough. All of these things can weigh on us on a daily basis. Holocaust survivor and psychologist Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." By putting down our thoughts and feelings on paper over and over again, journaling is one of the most powerful ways for us to understand more objectively where our thoughts and feelings are coming from and understanding the truth of actually what's been going on in our lives. There have been studies on students that show that journaling as a practice can reduce negative emotions and also even boost their grades. Bizarrely. Overall, it helps you to realize that your emotions and feelings are not actually directly caused by the situation in your life. It's also a space where you can cultivate a higher state of mind and a more positive outlook on life. In this way, journaling can literally change our lived experience of the world, because experience is not an objective thing. Experience is the life situation that we're in, plus a subjective assessment by us about that situation, and that creates our experience. It includes things like the facts of the matter, but then also all the feelings and emotions and narratives and beliefs and stories that we tie into it, and that makes our experience. And thirdly is something that I call the belief outcome axis. By completely changing our approach to life, journaling can actually completely change the outcome of our life as well. Okay, let me explain. So the outcomes of our life are broadly determined by our actions. Obviously there's luck and other things involved, but the bit that we can control is our actions. Our actions generally come from our decisions and our intentions. Our decisions and intentions are generally based on our thoughts and feelings about things. So if we think something or feel something, that often leads us to make a different decision. Those again usually come from our beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves. The things that we believe about ourselves, whether those are limiting beliefs, and the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, who our identity is, what things mean. Those very beliefs came from somewhere. Those stories, those things that we believe about ourselves, they didn't just come from nothing. They came from events that went on in our life and the way that we chose to interpret them. For example, if you believe that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, that leads you to think, okay, I'm not good enough to apply for this job. because they'll reject me anyway because I'm no good, obviously, because that's maybe my limiting belief. And then that makes me take the decision to not bother applying for the job because they would think, oh, who on earth does she think she is to apply for this job, because she's obviously not good enough, which is something I've decided for myself, not that they've actually said it to me. And that leads to the action of, okay, I'm not going to apply for that job, and the outcome is I don't get that job because I didn't even put myself out there in the first place. On the other hand, if let's say I have the belief that I am good enough, I can get this job, I am worthy, and I'm intelligent, and I'm capable, and I can learn quickly, then that would lead to the thoughts and feelings of, yes, I feel empowered to do this. And then when the opportunity to apply for the job comes up, I decide, yes, I'm going to apply for this because I have that belief and this thought process and this feeling that I can do this and I can give this a go. Even if they reject me, that's okay, I'll just try again. That's fine. I know fundamentally my worth and I believe in myself. And that would lead to the action of applying for jobs, putting yourself out there, which would more likely lead to the outcome of actually landing that job, actually making that change. Another example is if you have the belief that I am a healthy person who prioritizes my well-being and fitness, that will lead to the thoughts of, how can I improve my fitness, feelings of motivation around exercise and taking care of yourself, leading to decisions like I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm going to eat well, I'm going to sleep well, and those actions then leading to the outcomes of you are fitter. And the amazing thing is that this is actually a closed loop where the outcomes that you have, they become the life events that then further condition your beliefs. They further give you fuel to find evidence to support your beliefs. And so actually these outcomes, they actually become the life events. And that's why this loop is so powerful, because you might look at this and think, oh, this is so depressing because that means that the life events, that's kind of already decided what my fate is going to be. You could look at it that way if you wanted to, but you could also choose to view this in another way where the beliefs and stories, thoughts and feelings, decisions and intentions, they are not all determined by external things. A big influence on that is ourselves. We can make choices to change those. And that's where journaling comes in, and that's why it's so special. I'm going to number these just for simplicity. In this process, there's actually a lot of influence that we have to change the way that this loop goes. And by changing this loop even just a tiny bit, and by changing, for example, just our beliefs and stories and our thoughts and feelings just by a few percentage points, that would change our decisions, change our actions, change the outcomes, which then changes our life events, which then feeds back into the circle and it keeps going round. So instead of letting this be a vicious cycle of negative beliefs, negative thoughts and feelings, negative decisions that limit us, we want to turn this into a virtuous cycle, which actually lifts us up. There are ultimately really 4 segments of this that we can influence with journaling, and those are how we perceive our life events, our beliefs and stories, our thoughts and feelings, and our decisions and intentions. And throughout the rest of this video, in each of the journaling techniques that I mentioned, I'm going to talk about which one of these we can access with that. For me, ensuring that there's something of each of these 4 segments in my journaling practice has been the most powerful holistic combination for me. I highly recommend you try dabbling at least with something from each of these 4. The first journaling technique is also the simplest one, and this is the brain dump. This is just where you document your day, let your thoughts and feelings arise as they are, and just write them down. This is quite similar to a technique by Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, where she talks about a technique called morning pages. And this is where you sit down first thing in the morning or sometime in the morning and you just write like 10 to 20 minutes. You just write full pages of stream of consciousness, essentially. For me, I do this kind of brain dump every day after my morning meditation, because often I will have had some thoughts arise during that and notice some things. And so then I literally just turn on a timer on my phone for 5 minutes and then just start writing. This is especially helpful if you feel overwhelmed by thoughts or you just want to clear your mind, because I find that as soon as I've done this, I just feel so much more settled. And any of these thoughts that I've had percolating or ideas, they just come out on the page, and as soon as they're out on that paper, it's so much easier to draw patterns from them and understand the bigger picture. It's also great for documenting your life, and sometimes I'll look back at previous brain dumps that I've done where I've written about, what I've been up to that day and had a snapshot into what I was thinking, what I was doing back then. Next is gratitude journaling. My goodness, there is so much data and evidence backing up gratitude journaling as one of the most powerful ways to shift our mindset, improve our mental health, mental well-being, connect more with others, and even improve our physical health. There have even been studies that have shown that it can improve your quality of sleep, reduce your blood pressure, crazy stuff, right? Again, this is super easy. You can do this in just a couple of minutes a day. All you need to do is write down a few things that I'm grateful for today. So maybe even just 1, 2, or 3 things. One thing that I would do in my bullet journal is I'd essentially write down a page where I would have one line for each day of gratitude and just write down in sequence a couple of the things that I was grateful for that day. This also means that I can see on one page a whole month of gratitudes, and that was pretty cool. Having a daily gratitude practice for just 5 minutes a day can improve your happiness as much as doubling your salary, which is mind-blowing. So instead of trying to hustle for a raise or more money, you could just bring in some gratitude journaling and achieve the same impact on your happiness. If you're feeling stuck with this, I often start by looking at my surroundings and appreciating the present moment, things in the present, and then thinking about relationships, my family or my friends, and things that I'm grateful for about them, or thinking about the events in the day and what I'm working on, areas in my kind of health, just the fact that I'm alive, just the fact that this world exists is something to be grateful for. So it can literally be anything, or it could literally be, I'm grateful for this ruler because it helped me to write straight lines. I'm grateful for this pen and having nice stationery to be able to journal with and enjoy the experience of journaling. Or I'm grateful for this cup of tea. Even though it's cold, it's kind of refreshing, and I'm very grateful to be able to enjoy this today. Interestingly, for the coming year, my number 1 value is gratitude. I'm going to be focusing on this every single day, trying to bring it alive in every single moment and try to bring that consistency into my gratitude practice. And consistency and struggling with inconsistency is something I'm going to talk about towards the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. If you're enjoying this video so far, you might want to follow me over on Instagram at Izzy Sealey. I share my stories, daily updates, including some journaling prompts and journaling things that I'm doing. Next is one of my all-time favorites, which is asking your higher self for advice. We all have this version of ourselves that we aspire to be, the kindest, most loving, most compassionate, equanimous, wisest, most confident, most calm, forgiving version of ourselves that we aspire to be. So when I'm faced with a situation, often I ask myself, well, what would my higher self do in this situation? How would they respond? What advice would they give me? For example, if I noticed in my brain dump journaling that I was feeling some level of fear and self-doubt around publishing a YouTube video, then I could ask my higher self, like, what would she say? How would she respond to that feeling or respond to this situation? And maybe she would actually say, instead of thinking, what if I'm not good enough to make this video? What if the video isn't helpful enough? Or what if you're making a fool of yourself online? Maybe she would say, actually, well, if your video can help at least one person, isn't that so worth it? And she might also say that actually you are the only person who can create your video, and you are the only person who can believe in yourself. Or let's say if there's a conflict with a friend or family member, instead of getting very attached to the ego and being like, oh, I'm right, or they're wrong, or it's their fault, maybe your higher self would remind you that actually it's about the relationship and how can you express love to this person even in the face of conflict. How would your higher self choose their response? Again, touching on that whole space between the stimulus and response, how would they choose in that situation? Next is bullet journaling, which is essentially an amazing system developed by Ryder Carroll. He has a whole book on it called The Bullet Journal Method. I'll leave a link down to it below. Bullet journaling is the staple of my journaling, and it's the structure that holds all the rest of my journaling. It essentially allows you to break down your whole life and keep it all stored in just one handy notebook. It's a whole system of migrating information around and developing this sense of intentionality while having a year at a glance, month at a glance, and also rapid logging where you kind of jot down different tasks you have. So it's almost like a mixture of a to-do list and a note-taking system and also an event reminder system and a calendar all in one. And this is more of a kind of forward planning, organizational, life event-based journal, but you can also include other kinds of journals within it. So this is what I do almost every single day as I write in my bullet journal. Breaking down exactly how the whole system works will make this video way too long. So if you're interested in seeing my full setup, then let me know down in the comments if you want me to make a video about that, because I can make a video. If I do make it, I'll link it somewhere up here as well. Bullet journaling for me has helped to keep my life together, stop it from falling apart, and basically keep it all in one place and in one handy book, along with built-in practices of migration and review, which build in intentionality and mindfulness, along with all the productivity. Next is expressive writing. This is essentially a practice where you write down all your feelings and also the facts about difficult, painful emotional experiences. James Pennebaker and colleagues did a series of incredible studies where they showed that if you gave people the task of writing about the most traumatic experience in their life, just writing straight for 20 minutes, not censoring themselves, never stopping writing, just continuously writing, talking about the feelings but also the facts that surrounded it, and you got them to do this 4 times within the span of a month, that there were profound mental and physical health benefits to this. So the way that you can do this in practice is you get out your journal and then you write for 20 minutes straight, not stopping your pen unless you need to have, I don't know, wipe a tear away or get a tissue or something like that, not stopping your pen and just writing continuously about the most painful experience or a very painful experience that you have had. Do not worry about punctuation, spelling, or grammar, and if you run out of things to say, just keep moving your pen, so even just draw like a squiggly line or something until you feel like you can start writing again. Write only for yourself. Don't make sure that other people don't see this. You need to feel like it's a safe space where you can fully express what you want. Really let go when you're writing and explore your deepest feelings and thoughts from the experience. What they actually found when people progressed through the 4 sessions of writing about the most painful experience that they've had, so they would write about the same experience, was that over time they actually wrote more objectively about it and also linked up some more causation, and they kind of started to put it in context and understand it more and process it more. And there was a shift to slightly more positive language, less negative language over time. This could be especially effective if you have any experiences that you avoid thinking about or you find extremely painful to think about, because they do have this baggage on us and they weigh on our hearts, on our minds, and to start working through that is really part of the process of feeling more whole and healed and settled in yourself. The next way to journal is writing about a story-worthy moment. One of the things that made us as humans different from other hominins and great apes was our ability to really share stories and use it to bring people together and also to find that motivation within us to keep going, making sense of our lives and being able to communicate and share this with others. In Storyworthy, which is a book written by Matthew Dix, he talks about a homework for life where essentially he writes down just 1 or 2 sentences about a story-worthy moment each day. Something that involves some element of transformation or some moment of realization or just a cool thing that happened that day. This is a really nice way to document your life a little bit and highlight something cool that happened. So then when you look back, you can see all these story-worthy moments. I have a part of my monthly spread where I talk about all my story-worthy moments and essentially kind of put them on one page here, and each day has 1 line for me to write a very short snippet of a story-worthy moment. The next method is goal setting and manifestation journaling. So this is where we think about where we want our lives to be. In 5 years' time, where do we want to be? And then working back, in 3 years' time, where do I want to be? And then in 1 year's time, where do I want to be? Creating that vision for ourselves, visualizing it, and then coming up with goals that we can pursue in order to achieve that, and then also manifestations, things that we can affirm to ourselves, incantations that we can say to ourselves to get into the state of mind that we need to be in order to be the person who can achieve those goals, to make that dream a reality. I have a whole video on goal setting, so feel free to check it out. I'll link it up somewhere over here. And again, check out the totally free template down below with all the journaling prompts that I'd recommend to work as a companion to this video. There's a lot of evidence that shows that when we write down our goals, we are so much more likely to actually achieve them. So writing down our goals, writing down why we want it and how we're going to get there, and then manifesting that, embodying that and bringing it into our life as something that we affirm to ourselves and remind ourselves of every single day, is going to set us on this path towards achieving our dream life. And this is working on part 4 primarily, our decisions and intentions. For me, one of the big goals that I have for myself is to get better to rest. Sleep is the foundation of everything else in our lives. Getting good quality rest makes us more productive, more emotionally stable, have a more positive outlook on life, and generally be able to live life to the full and live our best life. And one of the key components of getting good quality sleep is having a perfect blackout. Something has leveled up my sleep and helped me to get much better quality sleep is Manta Sleep masks, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. I literally travel with this everywhere, at home or on the road. It is a non-negotiable for me to have this mask with me now because it helps so much with sleep quality. My personal favorite mask that they make is their Manta Sleep Mask Pro. These genuinely give a true 100% blackout. The cups are completely customizable. You can literally put them in any position that you want, which ensures that you can get that perfect custom fit. These have this C-shaped cup where it's like hollow in the middle here, so it doesn't press on your eyes, it doesn't press on your eyelashes. It's so comfortable to wear, and the C-shaped cup means that at the edge it's thinner, so that means if you're a side sleeper like I am sometimes, then you can lay on your side and it's still really comfy. I really like the material that it's made out of. It's so breathable and comfortable. If you're interested in improving your sleep by getting a true blackout that's comfortable and portable that you can bring literally anywhere with you, then definitely check out Manta Sleep. I'll leave a link down below, and make sure to use the code Izzy for an extra 10% off your order. The next method is the Wheel of Life. The Wheel of Life maps out different parts of your life, so friendships, family, career, finances, health, all of these kinds of things. And it invites you to rate how you're doing on each of those areas out of 10, and then draw a kind of circle. I love this method because you can measure your progress over time and how things are going over time. You can literally make a chart so I actually made an Excel sheet where I would track all of my Wheel of Life metrics. And each time you do this, whether it's every week, every month, every quarter, or even just once a year, you can look at the areas where you're lacking or not scoring as highly as the others, because the aim is to create a holistic wheel. And that's why it's in this sort of wheel shape, is because you're trying to build out the wheel without any like big dents in it. So identify these areas. Let's say, for example, if friendships scored lower than everything else, and maybe it was only a 4 out of 10, that might be a reminder to think, okay, how can I actually align my goals or set some new goals for myself that would help me to boost this area of my life? And equally, what are some areas where I'm doing pretty well and I can actually almost like pat myself on the back and be like, you know what, you're really smashing it with your relationship with your family, or you're really like taking care of your health, you're prioritizing your well-being, taking care of your worldly vessel. Next is a holistic check-in. So this is mind, body, spirit. So this is where I write about how I'm doing mentally, and I use a lot of I feel statements for this. So I feel excited for this, I feel sad about this, I feel all of these kinds of statements. Then I check in physically with how my body is doing, how my skin is doing, if I'm having any like breakouts, or how my body is feeling, my workouts, my exercise, if I'm getting any muscle soreness, and then how I'm feeling spiritually, which sounds a little bit maybe a bit woo-woo, but I find this really helpful to check in if I'm feeling aligned with my purpose, my mission, if I'm feeling connected to friends and family, if I'm feeling connected to spirituality and my meditation and yoga practice. I personally do this once a month, and it's actually quite helpful because then I can look back at a previous month. So for example, recently I updated my skincare routine, so it's interesting to see month to month how I'm feeling about my skin, because I'll always write about my skin in the physical section because it varies so much based on the seasons. Next is the weekly review. This is one of my favorite ones because it's a keystone habit where every single week you sit down with your journal, you review how the last week's gone, the wins, the challenges, and then you plan the next week and figure out, okay, how am I going to overcome these obstacles and what am I going to focus on for the next week? And one thing that I've done in the past is set almost a theme for the coming week where, okay, I'm going to focus particularly on this thing for the next week. For example, in the next week, I've noticed that I've kind of let my sleep go and I've not been getting enough rest. So for the next week, my theme is rest and making sure that I'm prioritizing rest and recovery. It's also nice to set a couple of weekly goals for yourself, something small and manageable, and then picking out a couple of things that are aligned with your goals that you can realistically achieve in the next week. You can also do this as a monthly review if weekly is too frequent for you. I personally really like weekly because otherwise it's quite easy to let things slide in a month, and having a weekly calendar reminder or alarm that it's like, okay, time to do your weekly review is such a good accountability for yourself. One thing generally about all these journaling techniques is that they are a tool to support you. They're here to serve you, to bring awareness, mindfulness, intentionality, understanding, and compassion. This brings us on to the third section of this video, which is how to actually stay consistent with journaling, because the biggest thing that people struggle with is that they don't keep up with it. The number one mistake that people make, which prevents them from staying consistent with journaling, is that they set the bar too high. They give themselves too much stuff to do that it becomes overwhelming, and then they give up entirely. So keep it really minimal at the start, something that you can complete in less than 5 minutes. Perfect is the enemy of good, so don't try to force yourself to complete all the things in your journal every single day, because that's actually an unrealistic goal. Secondly, go easy on yourself, be kind to yourself, and approach it with a spirit of play and lightness and ease. This is meant to be enjoyable. It is enjoyable, it's fun, and it can help you to achieve your goals in a way that feels good and authentic. So don't beat yourself up if you break your streak. It's no big deal. You can always pick it up another time. It's always waiting for you there to serve you and your journal to be a safe space for you. Another thing that helps is setting a timer. So for example, for me, right after my morning meditation, I will set a timer for 5 minutes and just do 5 minutes of journaling. This means that it's time boxed, and so it doesn't drag on, and also I don't give up after just 1 minute. I sit there for 5 minutes. I give that gift to myself of that space for journaling. The next tip would be to habit stack. So for example, habit stacking it with meditation. So for me, in my morning routine, I do my meditation, and then right after that, I have my journaling slot. And that means that as long as I've started my morning routine, I've chained all these habits together, and so then the journaling just happens by default. The next tip is to choose a journal that you actually like and you actually love using, something that sparks joy, something that feels good to use. So for me, I really like the Leuchtturm 1917 journals. I usually use a dot matrix one for the bullet journal. Something that you enjoy using the paper for. Also get a pen that you really like. So I like these Muji pens. I usually use a 0.38 in a black and also a green, but just pick some stationery that really like sparks joy for you to use, and you feel like you can sit down and really enjoy the session of journaling. And the final tip is to adapt it to suit you. There's no one size fits all for journaling. Looking at all the different ways to journal, you can pick and choose what kind of journaling you want, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, where you want to do it. Everything is adaptable, so experiment with what feels good for you. Now for the final section of the video, which is where we're going to take action on what we've talked about today. It's all good and well watching loads of videos about journaling, loads of videos about productivity and self-improvement and personal development, but if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. So to actually change your life with journaling, like it's changed my life, like it's changed so many people's lives, you need to take action today, right now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow literally never comes, so let's start today. Decide on 2 action points that you can take right now to kickstart your journaling and kickstart changing your life from today. Whether that's getting the pack of free journal templates and prompts that I've created for you down below, or buying a journal that you love to use, or getting started with one of these journaling techniques just today, just for 5 minutes, just setting your intention to actually do this for 5 minutes in the morning every day, writing 3 things that you're grateful for. Make that commitment to yourself today. If you enjoyed this video, I think you might like this one over here, where I talk about goal setting and how to set your goals so you actually achieve them. I'm genuinely so excited for you to start journaling. It's changed my life, and I know it will change yours. As always, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!